हेलो एंड वेलकम टू मिलिट्री मंत्रा। इस इंटरव्यू में आज हमारे साथ है कर्नल शीर्ष पांडे सर फ्रॉम 21 पैरा एसएफ। और इस इंटरव्यू में हम जानेंगे कैसी थी उनकी लाइफ इंडियन आर्मी को ज्वाइन करने से पहले, और एज अ पैरा कमांडो उनकी लाइफ कैसा हुआ करती थी, और अब जब वो रिटायर्ड है तो कौन सी वो लर्निंग्स है जो वो हम सबके साथ शेयर करना पसंद करेंगे। तो थैंक यू सर फॉर कमिंग ऑन दिस इंटरव्यू एंड एक्सेप्टिंग द इनवाइट एंड वेलकम।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आकाश। आई एम रियली ग्रेटफुल टू यू। आपके चैनल के माध्यम से मुझे अ, अपने एक्सपीरियंसेस के बारे में शेयर करने को मिल रहा है, इसके लिए मैं आपका शुक्रगुजार हूं। धन्यवाद।
थैंक यू सर। सर मेरा पहला सवाल आपसे ये है कि बिफोर यू ज्वाइन द इंडियन आर्मी, राइट, सो व्हाट वाज योर मोटिवेशन टू ज्वाइन द फौज?
So for me, my grandfather was in the armed forces, so he was an officer in the Second World War, and retired later on in the 1960s. Infantryman थे मेरे जैसे ही। और वो जब कमीशन ये फील्ड मार्शल स्लिम की जो 14th आर्मी थी, उसमें एक विक्टर फोर्स करके डिटैचमेंट बनाया गया था, जो एनिमी लाइंस में डीप जाकर के ऑपरेट करता था। तो वो उसमें थे एज अ सेकंड लेफ्टिनेंट जब वो कमीशन हुए थे। वो ये सारी कहानियां बताते थे। साथ में ही मैं जब 4 साल का था तब 1971 के ऑपरेशन हुए थे। मेरे पिताजी आईआईटी कानपुर में थे, तो इसलिए हम भी वहाँ पे थे। तो ब्लैकआउट्स और एयर रेड वार्निंग्स, एयर रेड एक्सरसाइजेस, इनका फर्क पड़ता है, राइट? आप 4 साल के हो, ये सारी चीजें आप देख रहे हो कि क्या हो रहा है। रोज आपको न्यूज में सुनाई दे रहा है, बड़ा इसका इम्पैक्ट पड़ता है आपके ऊपर। और साथ में ही like I've always been fascinated with flying. So IIT Kanpur has a beautiful aero club and a lovely airstrip. So after this thing was over, na, the 71 war, there was this group of army officers and air force officers. वो आए थे वहाँ पे, उन्होंने पूरा they given us a documentary type of thing कि क्या क्या हुआ, कैसे लड़ाई हुई। और उसके बाद उन्होंने एक एयर शो भी किया था। तो इट वाज लाइक एक्सट्रीमली, बोलते हैं ना कि वो दिमाग में घुस गया। और घर का माहौल, यानी नाना जी जो थे वो इतनी सारी कहानियां बताते थे, तो उसका भी असर था। तो ये सारी चीजों का जो है एक इम्पैक्ट पड़ता है आपके ऊपर, एंड इट टेक्स यू टुवर्ड्स अ लाइफ पाथ। तो फॉर
या
मी दिस वाज द रीजन व्हाई आई हैव गॉन इनटू दिस।
अंडरस्टूड सर। तो सर आपका जो एसएसबी का एक्सपीरियंस था उस टाइम वो कैसा था, और आप क्या टिप्स देना चाहते हैं उन एस्पिरेंट्स को हु विल बी अपियरिंग फॉर द सर्विस सिलेक्शन बोर्ड?
Okay, so the services selection board is basically a system designed to intake a टाइप ऑफ पर्सनालिटी ब्रैकेट। मतलब कि जरूरी नहीं है कि हर इंसान जो है एग्जैक्ट उस दायरे के अंदर हो। एक वो ब्रॉड स्पेक्ट्रम है कि आपको जो है इस तरह के लोग चाहिए। अ, अब ये जब मैं यानी उसके लिए तैयारी कर रहा था, तो मैंने ये सोचने की कोशिश की कि अगर कोई सेलेक्ट कर रहा है तो वो क्या देख रहा हो, एक आर्मी ऑफिसर में उसको क्या चाहिए। तो सबसे पहले तो जो है उसको एक, यानी जीनियस नहीं पर इंटेलिजेंट आदमी चाहिए, राइट? यू डोंट वांट आइंस्टाइन लेवल ऑफ जीनियस, बट यू डेफिनेटली रिक्वायर एन इंटेलिजेंट पर्सन। आपको एक ऐसा इंडिविजुअल चाहिए जो कि लॉजिकल हो। काफी इंटेलिजेंट लोग जो है वो लॉजिकल नहीं होते, तो इसलिए लॉजिकल होना जरूरी है। तीसरी चीज है कि एबिलिटी टू कम्युनिकेट, क्योंकि ये एक टीम गेम है। आर्म फोर्सेस ये अकेले के लिए नहीं है, ये लोन वुल्फ वाला चक्कर नहीं है, वो पिक्चरों में अच्छा लगता है। ये दिस इज ऑल अबाउट बीइंग एबल टू वर्क इन अ group, and that also under adverse circumstances. So therefore, you want a person who can get along with you. Then you require a person who is confident of himself in situations where there are no orders, where there is ambiguity. ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है, लोग समझते नहीं इस बात को कि लीडरशिप जो है ना, वो ये नहीं है कि सब कुछ ठीक चल रहा है और फिर आपने बोला कि दाहिने मुड़ो और बाएं मुड़ो। नहीं, लीडरशिप तब आती है जबकि किसी को ये नहीं मालूम है कि करना क्या है, और फिर आप जो है वो कदम उठाते हो बेस्ड ऑन ट्रेनिंग। ऐसा नहीं है कि आपने जो है बस कुछ देखा और कर दिया, नहीं। आप एक यानी सोचे सुलझे हुए तरीके से काम कर। तो मेरे हिसाब से ये चीजें बहुत जरूरी थी। एंड ऑफ कोर्स वन थिंग विच लोग बात नहीं करते हैं, बट ऑनेस्टी। क्योंकि देखिए, अगर आप ऑनेस्ट इंसान नहीं है तो आप कैसे यानी लीड करेंगे।
हम्म।
लोग भूल जाते हैं इस चीज को। इसके ऊपर ज्यादा तूल नहीं दिया जाता। पर आपका जो अपनी टीम के साथ नाता है, आपकी ऑनेस्टी के ऊपर, कि आप क्या सीधे सच्चे वाक्य से वार्तालाप करते हो, आप क्या सीधी सादी बातें करते हो कि राइट। पीपल नीड टू ट्रस्ट यू।
हम्म।
दिस इज द फंक्शन ऑफ योर पर्सनल ऑनेस्टी या पर्सनल इंटेग्रिटी। So these are the various, what should I say, amalgamation of qualities which are required for us. What I did was I tried to understand कि okay, इनमें से कौन सी चीजें मुझ में हैं, राइट। आई मीन मुझे लगता था उस वक्त 20 साल 21 साल की उम्र थी, तो उस वक्त लगता था कि क्या क्या चीजें मेरे पास है। एंड आई डेंट टेक एनी कोचिंग और एनीथिंग, मैं सीधे जाके गया। और जब वहां पर इंटरेक्शन किया तो मुझे समझ में आया कि हाँ, जो मेरी सोच थी वो सही थी। अब आप बोलते हैं कि टिप्स क्या होंगे।
हम्म।
तो सबसे पहली चीज तो ये है कि अगर आप सिस्टम को हैक करना चाहते हैं, वेल देन आई रियली फील कि नहीं करना चाहिए। कारण बड़ा सिंपल है। अगर आपकी पर्सनालिटी उस टाइप की है नहीं जैसे कि जरूरत है एसएसबी को, आप खुश नहीं रहे,
हम्म।
यू विल बी एन अनहैप्पी मैन और अ वुमन, राइट। यू मे क्वालिफाई by gaming the system, but you'll be an unhappy person. It is better to look into it this way कि if I fit, great, and therefore this is the place for me. If I don't fit, then it's okay. Okay, it's not the end of the world. There's something else for me. But now coming to the fact कि क्या करना चाहिए.
हम्म।
So personally, I feel that from a very young age, if you have already decided that you want to be doing this, focus on how you communicate. Focus on how you listen to people. Communication का ये जो है बहुत important हिस्सा है. You must be able to listen. You must be able to understand what is being said. Try to get your thinking in a very clear and straightforward things. Go for simple, logical solutions. It's not necessary that you have to have a very big plan. It should be a workable plan. Any plan which is, capable of, say, surviving the odds of like 60% success is a good plan. सिंपल रहता है, आप उसको जो है चेंज कर सकते हो। आपने अगर अपनी सोच इस तरह की बना ली, then I have a feeling that most likely you're going to make it for the SSB.
हम्म।
And yes, you need to be articulate. तो उसके लिए you need to spend time both for your mother tongue, uh, for English and Hindi. I am not including Hindi as a mother tongue because काफी लोग होते हैं जिनकी हिंदी मदर टंग नहीं है, तो इसलिए not necessary. पर हिंदी इसलिए वो एक वेरी कॉमन लिंगुआ फ्रैंका है हमारे देश की, जो है राइट, हमारी राष्ट्रभाषा है, सबसे ज्यादा इस्तेमाल होती है। तो इसका इस्तेमाल सही तरीके से आना चाहिए, आपको फायदा होता है। और फ्रैंकली स्पीकिंग, जितनी ज्यादा आपको भाषाएं आती हैं उतना ही आप अच्छे
हम्म।
तरीके से जो है लोगों से कम्युनिकेट कर। तो आई होप दिस इज गोइंग टू बी ऑफ हेल्प टू एनीबॉडी हु इज लिसनिंग।
Understood, sir. Sir, if you could also speak about, your experience in the academy once you got recommended. So, if you have any memories from the academy life, which you'd like to share.
Sure. So I will be very frank about it. I was not a very disciplined uh, character and got into the trouble for all the wrong. Gone from college, bunking was a very normal thing. कि IMA में भी चलेगा, but नहीं चलता, right? Huge amount of learning in terms of the people that I met, right? So I've said it earlier also. My senior there, the O study was late Colonel Basantvi. He's Ashok
Okay.
Chakra, posthumous, from 9 Maratha Light Infantry.
Hmm.
So he was my second termer, I was the first termer. Very good man. I mean, excellent chap. He was from Bangalore,
Hmm.
NCC C certificate holder. Really, really good guy. I mean, very mature, so a lot of guidance from him. And uh, I, because of my propensity to get into trouble, um, what happens is that you think that you can manage things, but
Mm.
it's not so. Mm. So I had bunked the class once. I mean, I was on punishments and I was not supposed to be going out on liberty. Uh, a friend had come from Bhopal and he had given me a call that I'm there. So we said, okay. So I jumped over the wall and got the auto rickshaw and reached the city center. We went out, मिल करके कि चलो, let's go and have a bite to eat. And where we were sitting and eating, suddenly in walked four of our DSS. And I just told this guy कि यार मैं निकल रहा हूँ क्योंकि अगर मेरे को और पनिशमेंट मिले तो मैं relegate हो जाऊँ. And I just
Mm.
walked out. मैं सीधे रूम पहुंचा अपने, and I changed into the muftis and I went to the library which is there in the Chetwood Hall.
Mm.
As luck would have it, Raza sir, who was the assistant adjutant, he was one of the guys who was there. So he was walking in, I was walking out with a couple of books. He looked at me, he smiled, and he says, "This suits you better." So basically, what it taught me was that he knew that it was I who was there, whom he saw,
Mm.
but he did not say anything. Hmm? And he saw that I have learned my lesson, so he has let it go. This is a great learning
Mm.
because as a leader, you don't need to pinpoint or punish or point out things to your subordinates in an official manner. You can always say this by just letting that one person know that I know, and it's good enough to tell that person कि भाई, रास्ता ठीक रखो. So
Mm.
I mean, in terms of leadership aspects, like how should a mature leader correct slightly wayward young uh,
Mm.
people of his team? This is, I think, a great example of learning from him.
Understood, sir. So, sir, after the academy, you had joined the parachute regiment. So, what was your motivation, back then to join the paras?
So I actually first joined. I mean, I opted for the Maratha Light Infantry, and I
Okay.
was commissioned into 21 Maratha Light Infantry, which is the which was a mixed class battalion, Turkeys, Mysore troops. So I got commissioned there, and all my initial learning from the armed forces is thanks to the excellent group of people that I was exposed to and I worked with in the 21st Battalion Maratha Light Infantry. In '94,
Mm.
there was a conscious decision to raise another Special Forces battalion, and it was decided that they would opt for an existing infantry battalion as the base. So a lot of units had volunteered. Finally, 21 was shortlisted, and we moved from Kota to Nahan for our selection. And those of us who volunteered and cleared the probation formed a part of it. We had a number of other people who came from outside as volunteers, and they joined up, and so together we became 21 Para SF. We had some really great individuals with us. We had late Lieutenant Colonel Rajiv Parmar, who was our
Mm.
second in command at the battalion. And during his probation, he suffered a heart attack and he passed away. There's a memorial for him in Nahan even now. Amazing man. I mean, he put his life out there. Everybody talks about, leadership and bravery and courage is about when you're
Mm.
in facing enemy, right? That's not necessarily so. When you take a risk, knowing that there is a chance of something going wrong, because as you age there are things
Mm.
which are inside your body which you don't have control of, but still he gave all. I mean, as they say, some gave something and some gave all, so he was one of those who gave
Mm.
all. So It's a privilege to be in this battalion. Mm. I mean, 21 RSF. And my reason for it is I was commissioned into 21 Maratha Light Infantry. And I feel that as a leader, you must never step back from what is your responsibility. The
Understood.
responsibility says that you have to be a part of this transition. So you must.
Understood, sir. So, sir, if you could also speak about, how was your experience during the probation? Because we have seen a lot of videos on YouTube already from NetGeo and everything. So, how was your experience in the probation? What happens there?
So I'm one of those unique guys who has actually um, had two probations. I did not clear my first probation, and therefore I got a chance to volunteer again, and then I cleared my second one. Uh, the probation is a very different kind of experience. What it tests in you is a mix of physical and mental resilience. And surprisingly so, it is the mental resilience which comes into play at all time. Because what happens is that if you're not mentally tough, you are never going to be able to sustain. So in my case, I did not clear my first one because I was not really performing that well physically, and because of certain health reason. And I took treatment for that, got over with that issue which was facing me, basically allergies which were causing me difficulty in breathing and therefore in running.
Mm,
And thereafter, for about 6 months, I really worked. I mean, I don't have any other word than to use it. I worked my ass off to be as fit as is necessary to qualify every test in Excel. I mean,
mm,
because I understood that okay, this is one thing which I've mentally I didn't feel that I was a that had any challenge, but I did feel that okay, I need to work that much harder. So I worked, and within the probation thing, what I'll tell you is it is a very individual journey.
mm,
It has the same kind of challenges which you see in uh, the Nat Geo and other things. I in fact wrote an article on this because I felt that the way the selection process was tailored at that particular point of time, right, was more centric towards physical. While
mm,
for a special forces operator, you do require a person who's got brains. You need to test his mental resilience under pressure. And if you're not doing that, then you are actually not. I mean, you're not looking for a ranger kind of guy. You're looking for a person who's capable of operating in very small groups and for a sustained period of time. It's not very glamorous. I mean,
mm,
people think that you know you watch a reel or two and you think that's how. No, it's not at all. That's the aftermath. What you what you undergo is long periods of slog, uh, isolation,
mm,
hard physical activities, periods of no activity, sustained boredom, and yet you know you have to produce results. So you require a person who's capable of taking all this. So I had written a concept paper on this, and it was accepted. My group was the one. My second group was the one which underwent this particular thing. And today, what you see in most of the places is, I would say that 90% of what I had written at that time is what is found now in the selection processes within the parachute regiment system.
understood, sir. So, sir, when you were a young officer and you went into the battle for the first time, so how was your experience back then? And eventually, when you went into multiple combats, how did your mindset and your performance actually change or improve or evolve?
My first operation was as a second lieutenant with barely 4.5 years, 4.5 months of service. Yeah, four, and it was in Punjab on the Upper Bari Doab Canal. It was a ditch cum band uh, setup. We were doing patrolling to prevent people from, you know, infiltrating from Pakistan side to Punjab. And there's a the canals have got a numbering which is based on something called RD. So it will be RD 124, RD 123, that kind
Okay.
of thing. And the difference between each RD will be about 300 to 400 yards. So all the RDs would be manned statically, right? Terminal elements, so half section. And my job was to, uh, liaise from one side to the other. So basically a link patrol kind of thing. I was moving, and I was number two. So the scout was on my right hand side. I was the left, slightly, echelon behind. And we saw something which was white. And he said, "Sab kutta laga."
Hmm.
And he said that, and there was a, burst of AK-47. We hit the deck, immediately returned fire with fire. And very uh, huge learning, because, when you're returning fire in such a situation for the first time in your life, and your magazine gets empty like this, it doesn't take
Hmm.
time to expand the ammunition. And suddenly I realized I've only got two more magazines. So my first focus was now, okay, fire control.
Hmm.
We'd read about it, right? But that was how you react to the situation. Fire control, giving fire orders. That you have to tell your people that, you move so and so place, then you fire like this, uh, throw a grenade. Mm. And your focus shifts from immediate engagement to also controlling your team. That's one of the biggest learning that you get in your initial combat, that you have to basically, combat is, as they say, violent and organized chaos. Violence because it is violence, right? Organized because there is a method to that madness. Because if you have trained well, then you shall communicate with each other. You will work together. As they say, like a choreography, there'll be a static movement, which will be the fire base. There'll be a moving element, right? And from there, you will provide the fire support, and together you will work to overcome your enemy. Hmm? Uh, it's a huge learning. What I have taken away from that encounter was that you need to be alert. The second thing is that you need to trust your training. The third thing is that you need to control the outcome, and you will control the outcome by taking the call. You have to tell people that so and so has to move so and so. So you must be aware as to the physical location of your people, right? And it's a next thing is that uh, instead of just being focused upon engaging yourself, like, that I need to no, you have to understand that as a leader, your job is to ensure that the entire combat power of which is available with you is focused onto that point of decision, and it decimates that opposition. That's how you get success. Otherwise, if it's just one on one, it's this no learn. Uh, this helps us later as we progress by allowing us to tailor the training in a more realistic manner. It also enables us to plan better, right? So, for example, we can have two kinds of situations. One is you are somewhere static, and the enemy comes there. So that is a different kind of reaction. It'll be a different kind of combat reaction. The other thing is you are moving, he's also moving, right? So it's a sudden encounter. Nobody knows what's going to happen. And then it becomes a matter of your training taking. So the person who is better trained will do that. And the third thing is that when the surprises with your enemy,
Hmm.
wherein uh, he has the initiative and he fires, and then your team has to react to that. So touch wood, I have not had to deal with the second part of it. The first two parts, I would say that uh, training forms the bedrock of this, and it's a training which is applicable to everyone. For the officer, because he needs to understand how to move that combat power into the point of decision. For the team to be able to work together. So it's like a complicated dance where
Hmm.
everybody is moving to their assigned thing, and without direction that this comes through the ability of having worked together. So that this is what he's going to do. Certain things which are very unconscious, that you don't fire blindly. You see where you're firing. Why? Because somebody might be moving, right? So you
Mm.
have to see that your team, you have to be aware of the spatial orientation of these people. So it's a pretty interesting kind of, not exactly as what you see in a movie, obvious reason, but it's a experience which cannot be replicated anywhere else.
Understood, sir. So, sir, I also have a question. So, when you used to go into combat, what was your favorite weapon back then?
So my lot, mm, I started my service with a submachine carbine. After that
Okay.
first encounter, I decided that okay, I don't want this one. So I started carrying a 7.62 SLR because
Okay.
very accurate weapon, and you can control the fire much better. Um, when I joined the special forces, that time our standard weapon was the VZ-58,
Mm.
which is the Czechoslovakian version of the AK-47. I mean, to date, it still remains my favorite, though the Tavor is any day a better weapon technically, in
Mm.
the sense that it can have so many, add-ons to it. Even the M4 Core Commando, again, very,
Mm.
very good weapon. But my personal favorite still remains VZ-58 because I did most of my fighting with that.
Okay.
Like, and just try to think of it that it is an AK-47 which has been designed by, say, an Italian design studio. It's very
Mm.
sleek, very uh, simple to maintain, very light compared to it, very ergonomically designed. So, I mean, I had found it to be very, very good. Uh, an excellent weapon to work with.
Understood, sir. So, since you are also a paratrooper, so how was your first experience when you actually jumped out of an aircraft and then you eventually did more jumps? So, how was that experience for you?
Um, so, you know, you first go for the para basic course
Mm.
to the PTS Agra, and you spend about 20 24 days training, right? They teach you how to fall, how to absorb the shock of the landing, uh, how to manage various emergencies. And it's a very intense and process which keeps you very busy. But when you reach uh, for the final day, when you're going to have your first jump, it's a feeling which is like fantastic. So we had been called at 4 o'clock and we had to take off at 5 o'clock. It was still, mm, daybreak was coming up. It's- I mean, it's such a wonderful feeling. You're standing first in the line. The AN-32 ramp goes down, right? And you see this nice deep blue sky,
Mm.
right? And everything which you've been trained for. So in your first jump, you're the calmest because you have no idea what happens, right? So you just follow what has been trained, and it's such a fantastic thing. I mean, I have done lots of jumps after that, but that jump remains special because I still remember, like yellow on, green on, go, and out. Absolutely perfect. Head tucked in, legs tucked in, confident to exit, hands on the reserve. mm, Uh, and then the slipstream hits you. This is not
Mm.
something which has been replicated any time
Mm.
before this, right? Because it cannot be. And then you realize that your body is now being lifted up by the air, and you see the tail of the aircraft passing by, and then you hear somebody counting, 2,000, 3,000. So that's your voice because you've been
Mm.
trained to count 1,000, 2,000, three
Mm.
thousand, 4,000, right? And then is this snap of the static line opening, and you look up and you see the parachute in the process of inflating.
Mm.
uh, you're busy with all the training things that, and then you can hear the mm, cheering of your own people who have,
Mm.
whose parachutes have opened first jump, right? So
Mm.
somebody's shouting hoo-ha, somebody is doing mm. And then you are now looking down and you realize, okay, uh, I'm going down at a fairly fast rate. It doesn't look like what the movies said. You are approaching the ground because see, you're approaching the ground at somewhere around, 15 to 17 feet per second, which is like jumping off from, say, a elevation of say 13, 14 feet.
Hmm.
So the impact is substantial. So now you get ready with, you assess, are you moving forward? Are you moving diagonally? How are you going to land? Is the wind pushing you behind? Right? So all those things are working in your mind. It's like really, really nice. Then you get into, the position for landing, and then you brace yourself for the paralanding fall, and you hit the ground, roll, and stand. So in my case, my first landing turned out to be a stand-up landing. I mean, I had no. I go. The instructor there was so angry. Roll karo, and so after having landed and absolutely rock solid straight, and I'm trying to understand ki, why haven't I rolled? And then he's shouting at me. So then I, deliberately rolled. And after that, I've never had a stand-up landing. But that one, I don't know. It was like perfect. So, uh, you know, it's a very unique experience.
Hmm.
No two jumps are the same, and it's one of the most exciting things that you can do in your life. The night jump is, in fact, I would say, night jump with your combat load and your weapons and everything. That's like really, really challenging because you're jumping out into the dark void. You have absolutely no idea what's going on. You're trusting to your training, right? And then the chute opens so you can see that silhouette, right? You have to estimate, okay, fine, I'm at this height now. I'm going in, closing to the ground. Depending on the light condition, you will see something. You'll be able to make out some outlines, but it's not so. I mean, it's not uh, the way it is in the day, where you can actually perceive things,
Hmm.
right? Depth perception is gone. So you just trust to your training, and then you hit the ground, roll, wrap up your stuff immediately. Stow away your parachute, get ready, and deploy with your weapon. Look around. It's altogether on another level beyond what I described to you in the initial part of
Hmm.
it. It's a You need to do it to enjoy it,
Understood,
to
sir.
really gain the idea as to what it means.
Understood, sir. I have seen some of your photos, which went viral. So, if you could also speak about, the significance of the maroon beret and also the Balidan badge, which only the special forces guys wear.
So there's uh, when you say the significance of the maroon beret or the Balidan, the first thing is that what is it that brings you there, right? So, for that, we have to look into the guys who were there before us, the people who built this thing,
Hmm.
right, in the Second World War and before that. Mm, mm, those were like days without the kind of safety environment that is there now. Designs are much better, materials are much better. And still, these people would volunteer for, at that particular point of time, very, very dangerous, kind of work. And then you have to see, okay, how it translates into today's thing. So our seniors, right?
Hmm.
Uh, they were the ones who really built up what the regiment was known for. So what is the regiment known for? So the regiment is known for is never say die approach, uh, victory at all cost, professionalism, a focus towards getting things done, and that sense of camaraderie which comes through knowing that not everyone chose to do what you did, and not everyone who chose to do qualified and was
Hmm.
given the opportunity and the honor to do this. So when you put it in that perspective, then you see, okay, fine, no one else wears the Balidan,
Hmm.
only you, and no one else wears the Balidan badge. Only you are privileged to wear it. You've earned it through your, you know, blood, sweat, tears, and toil. It's all very fine when you see a reel which shows all these, badges that you have.
Hmm.
People say, "Wow, man, you got so many of these." Uh, That's hardly anything. The beauty of it is that this shows that you're in the company of some really great people.
Hmm.
You're one of them, but it's that group together. It is what you have created. It's not about an individual achievement.
Hmm.
It's about being a part of something which is far greater than you. Everybody thinks that मैंने ये कमा लिया, मैंने ये badge लगा लिया. No, the value of that badge is कि हमारे जैसे लोग थे जो कि वो ये करना चाहते थे. There were
Mm,
people like us who were willing to do this, who were willing to go out and take that extra step to spend all those times in unglamorous
mm,
activities which are not seen, not talked about, right? Hours and hours of training, missing out on family things, and so many other things. So it is this which makes it worth it, that
mm,
you are a part of something greater than you yourself. And to me, the fact that I was privileged to wear the beret and to wear the Balitan badge uh, is a tick mark for myself, that I stood up and did what was right and did it continuously, so that my Paltan could be proud of me, and vice versa, I could be of value to my Paltan.
mm. Understood, sir. So since you have served in the Indian Army and in the Special Forces, if I can ask you any three life lessons that you have learned from your time in the service, what would they be?
The biggest thing is trust. Without trust, nothing. But to make trust happen is like, defining your entire life. So trust happens when you deliver consistently every day and without any fears of failure. This trust is your integrity. You're a
Mm,
person who can be trusted when you are a person of integrity. You deliver, right? Regardless of the personal cost or anything. You put the interest of the group, the task, always in front of you. That is the second pillar of,
mm,
right? So you have trust, then you have integrity. And the third thing is, what is the ability to do what is right without being told to,
mm,
right? So, I mean, you know, as I said earlier, leadership about doing something when everything is laid out, when there is a
mm,
process. No, in rapidly evolving situations, you take steps to do what is considered right.
mm,
Right. And this need not necessarily mean that it is in combat situation alone. No, it is in every aspect of life. So whether it is a moral call, right, whether it's a physical call, right, whether it is a professional call, so that's doing the right thing
mm.
without being told. I think these three are my takeaways for my life in the armed forces.
Understood, sir. So, my last question to you, Bino, since a lot of aspirants will be watching this interview, so what will be your message to all of them who wants to join the forces?
The armed forces are a very exciting and a unique career path. However, it is a career path which is not meant for everyone. So you should know why you are joining. Uh, if you're joining it for the brass and the tinsel, then it's not the place for you. You have to understand that this is a place where when you go, the profession will always take precedence over your personal life. And unless you are willing to make those sacrifices on a daily basis, on a day in day out, you're not going to be a very happy person,
Mm,
right? I'm not saying man, because girls, women are all also now part of the armed forces. Uh, it is necessary for an aspirant to understand his motivation or her motivation for joining the armed forces. Not about looking good. It's about being willing to do whatever it takes to ensure the security of your country, where it is your job to do.
mm,
And the job, which means if you're in the infantry or in any of the fighting arms, your unit will always be bigger. Within that, when you say that the task will always be primary. There is no way that you and your interest can ever take that. So you have to really believe in the Chetwood motto, which is there when you pass out from IMA, right? The honor, welfare, and safety of your country come first. The that of your men comes second, and your own honor, safety, and welfare come last, always and every time. I mean, this is a paraphrased
Mm,
version of that. Uh, unless you are willing to do this on a consistent basis, day in, day out, you are not really cut out for the armed forces. The armed forces is not about glamour, it is about duty, it's a responsibility, trust, backing up, personal sacrifices, right? So this is not something which is like, it's not a job, it's a way of life. So when it's a way of life, please be sure that you can, be a part of that way of life. If you can't, then you should not be, going for the wrong reasons, right? I always feel that somebody who tries to opt for the special forces because he thinks that the maroon beret makes him look cool, the Balidan badge, or the diving badge or the combat free fall badge, all these things that you get, uh, those are not the reason. These are just milestones. I mean, it's something that you've done, right? And this is not defining who you are.
mm,
What defines who you are how you do in operations, right? Are you a trusted member of your team, right? Can people rely on you in times of trouble, right? How do you behave in adversity? So
mm,
these are not seen on your uniform.
mm.
Mm. And these are the things which really count, because without this, the rest of it is just a bubble. You know, it's something which you put on. It's not.
Understood.
You have to live. You have to walk the walk, so to say. So take the call if you are willing to walk the talk from the day you join till the day you exit. And once you've done that, conduct yourself in a manner which is reminiscent of the honor. You're not wearing the uniform.
Mm.
I hope that answers the
Eh,
question.
Yeah, yes, sir. So thanks a lot, sir, for coming on this interview and sharing your experiences of joining the Indian Army, life within the Indian Army, and various life lessons that you have learned. I hope a lot of people who will be watching this will also get an insight about your life and also get motivated as well. So thanks a lot again, sir, for your time. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, Akash. I'm most grateful to you. Jai Hind.
Jai Hind, sir.